This is my 2003 LQ4 conversion 6.0, and I've retrofitted it into a 95 Tahoe. Lots of work. Engine is stock for now. Can't imagine I'll be going too long without putting a cam in it. A few changes here and there had to be made. I had to get a custom bracket to run the AC compressor. I got that from Dirty Dingo, and then that went right on. They provided a belt, but the belt was too short because I had the 145 amp alternator, so the belt needed to be about 1 inch longer. I used a 1066 belt, 106.6 inches from Gates, and that took care of that problem. Got the E-fans already controlled by an external thermostat down here, so that's all set. I relocated the water bottle. Windshield washer fluid used to be right there. I got one out of a 96 truck. I put it underneath the battery. That's there. And then I got a 96 bracket for the ECM, and the 2000 ECM goes in it. You just have to kind of have these two little washers here to hold it down. And then on the other side there's a bracket. It's the original bracket. I just kind of bent it out so it's only on one side, but it holds it steady. It's not going anywhere. There's my OBD2 plug for now, until I feel like putting a hole in the firewall big enough to run it through. That's just my air compressor and air tank for my air horns. I have onboard air in case I have to air up when I go to the beach. That's what that's all about. And I moved the old carbon canister down here just for the sole purpose of keeping the old evap line on it, but it's not connected to the engine. That's all bypassed. I converted to a drive-by cable throttle body, make things a little easier, and painted a couple things to make it look neat. It was a junkyard cover I grabbed. I liked it. It kind of grew on me, so I kept it. These blue couplers need to go. I just got to find some new ones. This is for an H2 Hummer, this intake. I had to do a little bit of custom fab, bend the brackets a little more, but I got that to work. Put my alarm siren on there. A little PA horn for the CBs in the back. This is how the steam lines are connected. I had an extra port on the radiator. I just have two hose bungs on each end of a coupler. I got that down at Lowe's. Pretty straightforward. A little Teflon tape in there. That just routes around and goes into the steam lines. I bypass the throttle body. It just goes right into the steam lines in the head. If I have icing problems, I'll move that later. Underneath, the only thing I didn't like down here was the position of this hose. That's the AC compressor. But since I've got such a big body lift, it kind of pulled the body away from it, and it's not going to hit the tire, so for now I'm just going to leave it. The service in the AC, we kind of made a mess, and it's splattered everywhere, but that's what's all over the manifolds. You can see the routing. Everything's pretty simple, straightforward, easy to get to. I put some heat tape around the wires, and underneath there, the starter. Threw a new ground strap in while I was there. These heavy wires are extra wires for like my winch lines and stuff. That's not part of the conversion. There's my O2. That splices down into the old pipe. And then on the other side we got same basic setup. You have to use the power steering pump from the old engine. But the low pressure line, I cut it as close as I could to the old pump, and it was just long enough to splice on with a standard clamp. So things look very messy in here because of the body lift and everything, with all the wires and brake lines up against the rail. But it works. This factory manifold spliced in again, same thing. You can see they tied that in. And on the back of this thing I got an NV4500, a Gen 1 with the really low granny gear. And you can see there's the Dirty Dingo mounts. I needed the engine to be in the same spot because of the manual transmission and the fact that underneath I've got these struts, these compression struts that go from the lower control arm drop brackets. So the Dingo mounts worked well. And the external slave cylinder, it was a tight fit. It's up against the old plastic plug for the oil, but it does work. You could grind a little bit if you needed to, but I didn't. Alright. And if you want to hear it, let's see what I can do. This is pre-tuned. I don't know if you can see that. The exhaust tone. So we got a service engine light right now for O2s, because those haven't reset in yet, but all the gauges work. I left the factory ECM in place, so the speedometer works, fuel gauge works, voltage works. I didn't have to do anything with those three. The oil pressure is in the sensor in the back of the engine, and the water temperature has its own probe. You get good vacuum, you get good voltage, and I got a secondary water temperature. Just because I have electric fans, I like to be sure, in case they don't work, in case the relay dies, I can monitor the system. And what I did is I got the three-wire coolant temp sensor right here. See right above the plug wire on cylinder number 2, and that's the 3-wire I swapped in, and then on the 3rd wire I ran that right to the factory temperature gauge and the factory cluster, and then on this side in the back, that's my mechanical gauge. That's the gauge on the pillow for water temp. That's how I keep an eye on that. So I'll try to keep this video a little short. I'll put the camera down here and give you a little rev. Yeah, good enough, I guess. Still getting it tuned today. My tuner's coming down and setting me up, so that should be the last thing I got to do. So that's it, folks. You want to put a Gen 3 motor in a Gen 1 truck? It can be done. Total cost of project for me was about $2,000. The fact that I had a manual tranny and didn't have to go with upgrading my transmission and my lots of extra wires in the harness made a difference in the price quite a bit. I got the engine for $650 with 103,000 miles on it out of a Yukon Denali. And didn't have a wire harness, but I was going to have a standalone one made anyway, so it didn't matter. And all the parts on the brackets and things I needed on the front, I just got from the junkyard, from the all-you-can-pull salvage yard, you know. So it can be done for a budget. And in the end, I was able to sell my 383 for about the same amount of money by parting it out as it cost to do this project. So if I had a good, solidly running engine, I probably could have done it even cheaper. That's the NV4500. I have it. You can't see it under the boot here, but there's because I've got a 4-inch body lift, there's a bracket that I made. It's an offset and allowed me to swivel and adjust the angle so that shifter would sit in first gear. It won't hit the dash, second gear won't hit the console, and in fifth gear it won't hit the cup holder when it's out. So that's it in a nutshell. Maybe I'll have to get a video of me driving it when I can get a buddy to hold the camera. Okay, happy trucking. Time to go for a drive. It's more